Okay guys, this is the BartenderHQ.com podcast. I'm Eden-Sangwell, your host, and on this week's show we're talking about restaurants that are taking tips away from waiters and bartenders. We're talking about the Masters of Flair that was on last week and some big news for BartenderHQ.com, so stay tuned.
Welcome to the BartenderHQ.com podcast. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at BartenderHQ. Here's your host, David Scooby-Sangwell.
So it's come to light this week that different restaurant chains around the UK are charging their staff to work there, and they're charging them a percentage of their sales under the assumption that they have made a certain amount of tips and that is then due to the restaurant. So Las Iguanas is one of the main ones, which I actually reviewed the Birmingham branch quite recently. We had a lovely meal there, but I tell you one thing, I won't be going back if this is how the company itself works. I'm sorry, guys, but that's just not acceptable to be taking this money off of your staff. Now, according to the newspaper and the article, which I will link to in the show notes, this restaurant is basically taking 3% of your sales at the end of your shift, in addition to what you've actually taken from the customers and what's on that bill, and taking that off of you as cash as well. So presumably they assume everyone makes 10% in tips, and they're taking kind of 30% of the tips that they assume you've made. Now, if you don't make your full 10%, if for some reason you've got a large party that doesn't tip or whatever, this can actually mean that the waiter or the bartender, the server, can be out of pocket at the end of their shift. And that doesn't seem right in any way, shape or form. Number one, they shouldn't be taking any of these tips away from people anyway. But it actually gets even worse for the London-based restaurants. It's reported as being 5.5% of their total sales for the day. Now, I don't know about you, but I think that's completely wrong. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. Drop me a message, drop me an email, david@bartenderhq.com. I don't think this is right, and it actually upsets me to the point at which, even though I went and had a really nice meal at Las Iguanas a few weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, before we went to see the Barnum show, I mentioned it on the podcast, I won't go back there again if this is how the company treats their staff, and I'd say to the staff, get a better job. There are plenty of restaurants out there that will treat you right. TGI Fridays, who I worked for a long time, they let you keep 100% of your tips. Frankie and Benny's even, and Chiquitos, the same. I've honestly never known companies to do this, but there's actually a bit of a list of companies that are doing certain stuff that's a bit shady. The other one that's also come up in this same article is actually Turtle Bay, and although the drinks were very nice when we went there, service was very, very slow. But again, I won't go back to these places and eat there or drink there if this is the way that the company's going to treat their staff. And I would say to you guys, I wouldn't advise you to go there either. So, guys, sort out your tip policy. This is just not right. It's 21st century. If people are being given a tip by their customers for giving great service, they deserve that tip. So hopefully moving on to something a little bit more cheerful, the Masters of Flair was this weekend just past. That's why there was no podcast last weekend. I do apologise to you guys, but I did warn you the week before that there may well not be. Masters of Flair was held at Reflex Arcadian, which is the bar that I spend a lot of my time in, and we hosted it. It was a great event. It overran, as most Flair events do. We need to tighten up bartenders out there. In fact, this is a word to you guys. Please have your stuff ready. When the competitor before you finishes, you should be walking onto that bar with a box full of stuff, stick your bottles in your rail, and ready to perform. There's no reason it should take more than 5 minutes maximum. Some of these bartenders, and I love you guys, but some of those turnarounds were way too long. And I know mine was a bit longer as well. I was hosted in the Masters of Flair, but I also performed in it. I was up second. I didn't have a second, actually, to warm up during the daytime, so I was kind of going onto the stage cold. Didn't have time to prep any bottles or anything like that. But I ended up winning the prize of Best of the Midlands UK, which I'm very, very pleased about. I was not expecting it at all. But a lovely way to start the Flair project. As you guys probably know, this was my first competition since I launched the Flair project, and if you've not checked it out yet, please go to theflairproject.com and submit a move for me. Just drop me an email with a link to it or whatever you want, but I'd love you to shoot a little Flair move for me that I can learn and put it into my routine for next year, where we're going to go big on this thing. So anyway, the Masters of Flair, we had 9 competitors from all over the place. We had guys from Belgium, from the Netherlands, from Manchester, Coventry, Birmingham. A great selection of guys. Superb competition, some brilliant moves coming out. Andre Lenz, who won last year, was back this year to defend his title, and successfully. He is still the Masters of Flair champion for 2015. So, all of the videos that I took, I spent a lot of my time during the evening shooting video for you guys. So, check it out. It's all on our YouTube channel, which is bartenderhq.com/YouTube. You can find all the videos there. Or you can hit up our Facebook page. All the videos are on there as well. And in fact, if you go to bartenderhq.com and have a look under the Flair bartending category, you will also find a separate post for each of the bartenders with their videos on there. And I'd love it if you want to share these with your friends. Please share it from the Bartender HQ page, because then your friends might also find something else on the site that's useful to them, and hopefully we can help get out to some more people. Because the more people that know about Bartender HQ, the more cool stuff I can do for you guys in future, the more kind of leverage I have with liquor companies and that sort of thing to get cool stuff for us to look at on the show. Speaking of having a load of you guys knowing about us, we've finally cracked 1,000 Twitter followers. Thank you very much if you follow me on Twitter. If you don't already, it's at BartenderHQ. Let's get to 1,100 nice and quickly. And I'm really excited about sharing a lot more video and things like that directly onto Twitter. So jump on twitter.com/BartenderHQ and click follow. And talking of huge news, I'm changing my job a little bit. Now, a lot of you guys, if you've been watching for a while, will know that I've been working with worldmagicshop.com, who produce the Wizard product review and a whole bunch of other stuff on YouTube. If you haven't checked that out before, I do recommend just Google the Wizard product review, search for it on YouTube, and have a watch of the show. Essentially, the guys take 4 of the latest magic tricks that have been released onto the market, and they review them and tell you whether they're any good or not. And they're known for not pulling their punches, so if you see a product on there and it gets a good review, you can be pretty safe in the knowledge that it's worth doing. Now, I've been working there for about 3 years now, and finally it's come time to move on from my full-time job there. What I'm going to be doing is still working with the guys on a lot of their design work, and I'm going to be working remotely on their marketing and that sort of thing. However, that means I'm not going to be in the shop every day. What I will be doing is taking on a much bigger role at Reflex, which is the nightclub that Joe works at, and I'm going to be taking on a much bigger role there and helping out with a lot more of the marketing side of that, and also working behind the bar a little bit more often, and also kind of trying to grow the Flair Club that we do, turn that into a bit more of an industry night. We've got another night launching very, very soon. So it's a very exciting time. I'm going to be spending a lot more time in the bar, and that also frees me up a lot more to start producing better content for you guys. Now, I have got a couple of things that are on the way. There is going to be my first Flair course is going to be released hopefully within the next 30 days. If you are interested, go over to the Bartender HQ website, sign up for our mailing list, which is the 10 Killer Cocktails ebook. You'll get that free initially when you sign up with us, and once you're on that newsletter list, you will be the first to know when that product launches. And I will be selecting certain people from that mailing list as well at random to get a free access to the course. Now, this is purely because I want to get a few people to see it before it's released to the general public, and I want to get your feedback on it, and I want to get some reviews in. That would be great. So if you guys get over and sign up for the mailing list at bartenderhq.com, you may be lucky enough to get to road test my first Flair course. And as I say, it's going to be within the next month, now that my schedule's freed up a lot, and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So I'm not going to keep you too much longer this week, guys. Do check out the videos from Masters of Flair from last weekend. They look really good. It's very, very dark in the nightclub, so it does make it a little bit difficult to capture. So I hope you'll excuse the kind of the slight graininess to stuff. But you can see the routines. You can see these guys. There are some absolutely superb Flair bartenders that were at the Masters of Flair contest. So I hope that you'll get a chance to watch those, enjoy them. Please comment and hit a like on the video if you enjoy it. It does help to get the videos out to more people. The more likes and the more comments that we get on these things, the more people are going to see them and the more cool stuff I am able to do. So that really helps me out. If you want to get to our YouTube channel, it's just bartenderhq.com/YouTube. While we're on the subscription side of things, please also subscribe to the iTunes feed for the audio podcast. If you do that, that is bartenderhq.com/iTunes. Can you see what I'm doing here? I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for you guys to subscribe. And also, while you're there, I would absolutely love it if you have 2 minutes and you can leave us a review on iTunes. If you're doing it on a store that's outside the UK, please shoot me over a screenshot, tweet it to me at bartenderhq, or post it on the Facebook wall, and I'd be delighted to read those because it really makes my day when we get them. But if it's outside the UK, I can't personally read it straight from the iTunes store. So send it over to me and I would love to read your reviews and what you think. If you've got any suggestions for the future shows, please let me know over at bartenderhq.com. There's a contact form there, or you can leave me a voicemail and ask me any question about bartending and I'll be delighted to answer it for you. But until next week, my name's David Sangwell for the bartenderhq.com podcast, and I'll see you then.
Thanks for listening to the bartenderhq.com podcast. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at bartenderhq.